Well, good morning to all of you across Malaysia and across Southeast Asia. My name is Susanna Rensovaso. This is Uraxis ASEAN, and you have just joined us for this day's session, the first session of the European Research Day 2020. Now, the European Research Day is our platform for you, the research community across Malaysia, across Southeast Asia, to keep you updated about the opportunities for research collaboration with European partners and also mobility opportunities for you to spend some time of your career in Europe. What we're doing in these times is really to keep you updated, because I know the current pandemic is a trying time for researchers, especially for young researchers that are building their career, they're building their networks, there's a lot of anxiety. So this is really to put emphasis that collaboration is as important as it has always been, if not even more important, and that the opportunities remain. It's really up to you to grab the opportunities, and that's what we're trying to do, to present to you what's happening. We'll be listening later today to 4 panelists, and they're talking about their ongoing collaborations between Malaysia and France. And I think we have a really exciting session ahead of us, and we can all learn a lot from that. Before I pass this session over to our moderator, I just briefly want to introduce you to the Uraxis Project, because I do honestly feel that this is a wonderful support tool if you're trying to reach out to European collaborators and if you're trying to establish your network with European partners. Now I'm going to just share my screen with you here and to show you a quick presentation on what Uraxis is all about. Now, Uraxis is a European Commission funded project, but it is very importantly supported by 36 countries across Europe, and France, of course, is one of the key players. The idea of this project is to put in one handy location all the information that you as researchers require when it comes to career development. So a key component is our jobs and funding portal, where you will find thousands of opportunities across Europe, be it research positions at universities, at research institutions, be it fellowships, but also funding opportunities from private actors, from companies that are looking to hire researchers. And it is just for our audience today that are maybe research administrators at universities in Malaysia or in Southeast Asia, it's also an opportunity for you to reach out to the global research talent by posting your own opportunities on this portal. Uraxis also provides a partnering tool. And again, early career researchers are trying to create a network, and this is an opportunity for you to reach out to potential collaborators. I'm always saying, if you want to be found by potential collaborators, you need to have visibility. People need to be able to find you. And by entering your details on this partnering tool on the Uraxis website, you become visible and you can create potential collaborations. We also have a hosting database available for you. Now, again, you will hear throughout the European Research Day webinars a lot about fellowship opportunities. And often for you as a researcher, you need to find a host, a supervisor or an institution in Europe that will host you as a fellow. Now, the hosting database basically shows you the opportunities, the offers of supervisors in Europe that are looking for researchers like yourselves to come and spend some time with them. And of course, you find a lot of information on the Uraxis portal. Every Uraxis member country, including France, has their own portal website. So we have Uraxis France with detailed information about the French research landscape, French funding opportunities, career opportunities in France. So really a whole host of information. And what we have on top of that, and I think this makes it particularly exciting, is our Uraxis Service Centers network. So these are real people, not just computer messages, but our support offices that are waiting for you to contact them so they can assist you with your mobility experience. I am part of the Uraxis worldwide network. So we have offices in China, in India, in Japan, and of course here in Southeast Asia, in ASEAN. I am based in Singapore, and you can always get in touch with me if you'd like further information. And here, this QR code, which will lead you directly to our website for you to find out what other activities besides the European Research Day we have planned. And I just want to showcase one upcoming activity on the 30th of September, promoting your research to create global visibility. This is basically a workshop that we're running with Editage, and this will help you give better presentations at conferences, but also make your research publications more visible by using social media, etc. So all our events are free of charge. And once again, here is the QR code if you're interested to join us at this event. Now I'll stop sharing my screen. And as I said, I will not be moderating this session, but instead I'm very, very pleased to hand this over to a very young colleague of mine, Mosley, but I know Mosley actually has a real name, so I wanted to just tell you the name. Mosley, remind me. There, Eng Wang Yu. And Mosley is also a former staff member of Uraxis France. He was at the University of Grenoble, and he will be moderating this session. Now, Mosley, before I hand over, allow me to present to our audience our speakers today, just in order. We have with us Professor Mohamed Kheireddine Aroua. He is the Associate Dean of Research and the Head of Center for Carbon Dioxide Capture and Utilization at Sunway University in Malaysia. Hello, Professor Kheireddine. We have also with us Dr. Eric Olmedo. He's a Principal Research Fellow at the Institute of Ethnic Studies at the Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Good morning, Dr. Olmedo. We have with us Dr. Nithya Nathan Ari Ragavan, who is the Executive Dean and Professor at Taylor's University in Malaysia. Dr. Ragavan, good morning to you as well. And our fourth speaker is Dr. Mohamed Kheireddine Aroua, and he is the coordinator of the USM-UL Center at the University Science Malaysia, a very interesting collaboration that we will hear about later on. Good morning to you, Dr. Aroua. Now with this, Mosley, the floor is yours, and I leave you to moderate the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Well, just a little bit introduction about myself. Like as Susan mentioned, I worked with Uraxis before when I was in Grenoble after my master's studies. So I have really been inspired by Uraxis and the services that they do to help researcher and the researcher's family to integrate to the lifestyle in the foreign country. So I'm really appreciative with Susan inviting me to host this event. Now, before I invite the first speaker, I would just like to make a quick reminder that this is a very interactive sessions. So each speaker will have 10 minutes to present, and after each speaker, there will be a 5-minute Q&A session dedicated to all of your topic. So with that in mind, without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Professor Mohamed Kheireddine Aroua, and he will be talking to us about the sustainable research collaboration of more than 10 years between France and Malaysia in the field of glycerolvalorizations. So may I invite Professor Kheireddine to present?
Okay.
There you go.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, good morning and bonjour à tous et à toutes. First of all, I would like to thank Mosley for the introduction and the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my experience collaboration with France and establishing the collaboration between Malaysia and France on a project which is related to glycerolvalorisation. I will try to share my experience in terms of what are the challenges that we faced to establish this collaboration and the opportunity that this collaboration gave to us to approach, and also what are the points that or clues that help to develop a sustainable collaboration. I am currently with Sunway University and Lancaster, at the same time with the University of Malaya, and I have been in Malaysia for 27 years. I'm not Malaysian. I'm originally from Tunisia. I studied in Tunisia and France and worked in Malaysia. So 24 years in the University of Malaya and 3 years now with Sunway University. Basically, our project or our collaboration is focusing on 3 main topics. So don't worry, I'm not going to go into technical details, but just to give you an idea and also to look for some, if anybody, anyone interested here for collaboration, we are even open to extend the collaboration to others. So basically, we're looking at to valorize glycerol, which is a byproduct from biodiesel and oleochemical industries. And we try to develop green solvents or green processes to convert this byproduct to valuable or value-added products. So without going to the technical details, at the end I will give you some articles and references from our output in this research. If you are interested to look at more details, you can refer to them. So as I mentioned, the collaboration is lasting for more than 10 years now. This is basically the history or the timeline with some of the milestones that help this collaboration to sustain. So it started in 2007. Let me in 2007, where I attended a conference in Toulouse, organized by IMP, which is the first Green Process Engineering Congress. So it started from an attendance or conference. Conferences are important, so it's especially for the young researcher and early career. Attending conference is an opportunity to network, and if I didn't attend this conference, I won't be here today to share this experience with you. So I started in 2007, and then when I come back to Malaysia, in 2007 I met Prof. Patrick and the organizer there. Upon my return to Malaysia, I proposed to them to bring this conference to Malaysia, and I tried my luck. Of course, I never see them before. I only met them during the conference, but I was lucky enough that the organizer of the conference agreed to bring it to Malaysia, to Universiti Malaya. At the time I was with UM, and we organized it in 2011. In 2011, we engaged with the French embassy to support speakers from France. And through this engagement, we understood about the opportunities that are available through the French embassy to connect or to establish collaboration. So there are possibilities of supported mobility of researchers. There are also possibility for scholarships or top-up scholarships for students. So it was an important, I think, milestone and event that we discussed through, during that to go further and to collaborate by identifying of our common topic, which was the glycerol conversion. And of course, for any collaboration, to sustain or to be significant, the engine must be students. So student can be co-supervision or can be a dual PhD. So a dual PhD, in my opinion, is very, very important. It's more efficient in terms of strengthening and maintaining a collaboration, because the student, they have dual PhD, they stay in this case in Malaysia, and for example, Sunway University. Then the half of the time they spend it on the collaborating institution. They will have access to both facilities, to different types of systems, and this helps the. So we try to maintain co-supervision on the dual PhD concept from 2012 to now, and two already graduated, Dr. Ching Chiria, Dr. Paysan, and we had also a support from the French Embassy to support partially their stay in Toulouse. And at the same time, we are also lucky. Luck is important also, because at that time, University of Malaya was very aggressive in terms of internationalization of the programs, especially the PhD programs. And the dual PhD concept was one of the mechanisms to internationalize and to the programs. So there was also availability of grants to support students to be enrolled in the dual PhD. And so it was very successful in providing these two PhD scholarships. So the progress into 2017, I moved to Sunway University. So the collaboration continued by having an FRGS project, which is currently under but we are collaborating still with Toulouse and myself. And also when I started with Sunway, I thought to bring this collaboration to continue also by including Sunway University. And again, we have been lucky to get support from Sunway for a joint PhD supervision she's currently doing as research, with the support of the French Embassy, which was very, very important throughout the collaboration. To sustain the collaboration, there are few things. One thing, if you look, especially for the young or your early career researchers, it took us about 5 years, maybe 2007, to actually start actively collaborating. So this is very, very important. We have to be very patient, and we have to wait for the good times. And there are many factors. Of course, the financial support is very, very important. The commitment of the collaborator is very, very important also, and also the student. As I said, collaboration to be successful should have students that are co-supervised, or in our case, we managed to have a dual PhD student. But at the same time, we had also students coming from IMP to spend their research here in Malaysia. And also, I had the opportunity to be appointed as a visiting professor to IMP 2 times, in fact, in 2018 and also last year in 2020, but because of the COVID, I could not travel. But of course, there are many challenges also can be faced, especially when we have a dual PhD with 2 different systems. As you know, the French system and the Malaysian system are quite different, and we have really to work very, very hard. And we need the support of the administration of the universities to help us because the dual PhD student has to fulfill both universities' requirements to graduate. And it is very, very complicated. And these few photos of the first Viva, which was held in France. And you can see the panel was very large. In France, for example, the supervisor are the part of the panel, but in Malaysia and University of Malaya, especially, it's not the case. So we have to have basically long sessions of discussion how to fulfill both. And at the end, you will have two different reports, because even the outcome of the Viva, how you write the report is different. So it is a good experience, but at the end, with the collaboration and what we can, but the opportunities that this collaboration brought to us is basically to have our research get noticed, and we were in fact invited by journal, which is the Frontier in Chemistry. This is an open access journal, Q1 journal, and they offer us to edit a special issue. When the offer came, initially I was thinking it was a scam, because this is a open access that's charged by one articles about 9,000 ringgit. And the offer was for us to come up with the special issue free of charge, even not for us only, for our articles, but also for the articles that are submitted. So I had to write many emails to make sure that this is really right. It's not a dream, huh? Because you know very much the open access journals, how they operate. And through this collaboration, we had visits from our collaborator, Prof. Patrick, Professor Yolon, and we extend. When we come to Sunway, now we are looking to expand the collaboration beyond Sunway University INP. We are now engaging with Avignon University. Dr. Jane is my co-researcher here in Sunway, and she's the one who are now heading the MyPair PhD hibiscus project. So these projects also help us to also sustain this collaboration. Of course, as mentioned just now by Suzanne, the COVID was a big challenge for everybody, I think, including the collaboration. But we managed to maintain the momentum by having progress meetings, virtual progress meetings, and to be always in contact and not to lose momentum. And we are glad that we managed, even during the COVID, to publish good paper, and also the e-book, which is the special issue on the glycerol recovery. So this is the recent publications with Sunway and Toulouse, and e-book on glycerol to value-added products. So this is a free access book. You can access it. It's the Frontier in Chemistry. These are some of other, I think, output of publication. If you are interested to look more details what we are doing, because we are open to more networks, to more collaboration, if you are interested in these areas. And finally, I would like to thank all of you for coming for this session to listen to me. I hope that this will help you to get some idea, but I'm open for any Q&A through today, during this presentation, or even through email. You can contact me, and I'll be happy to help. especially the youngsters who are want to establish a collaboration with France or with other, so I can share my experience. And of course, I would like to thank all our support. Without I think the French embassy support from the beginning until now, and the universities, University of Malaya, Sunway University, IMP Toulouse, and recently the Ministry of Education Malaysia, and the Ministry of Europe and Foreign Affairs, and Ministry of National Education, for providing us the opportunity to apply for my PhD. In this case, and we were lucky to have the project for 2 years, which helped us also to sustain. So with this, I've finished my presentation. I am open for any Q&A.
All right. Thank you, Professor Kheireddine. So at the moment, we have questions dedicated to you. So the question is, how could we initiate work with international collaborations? So is there any like straightforward, simple steps or tricks to approach them, or what is the simplest form of collaborating with you that you have ever conducted?
Well, of course, there is. I cannot say there's an ideal process or an SOP. One should first be very brave to approach, especially you are approaching a professor. As I mentioned just now, with my experience, at the time when, to 2017, I was not yet a professor, I was an associate professor. But when I found the opportunity through the conference that there's some what you call the joint research interests with the group. So I made the first move to talk to them. But as I understand, as a young researcher, sometimes you are afraid. But I don't think you should be afraid. If you identify and you know as this professor has a certain area that is within your interests, I think all professors will react if you contact them, if you want to do a collaboration. Now there is also platforms like just now presented on Uraxis platform that help you to get the matching, to match you with others. Of course, if you have done your PhD, for example, France, and you have a supervisor, you can also start collaborate with the supervisor and slowly move to build your own network. In fact, there are many ways, but one should be very brave and keep trying. So you cannot stop when you first time the contact, you fail to establish the contact. Another thing is, like maybe I can share the experience of my colleague, Dr. Jane. So this is an early career in Sunway, and through collaborating with me, now she's starting to build a new network with Avignon University, and through my working with me, and I brought her to have some contact with the French embassy, and these are things that one can try. But I'm open also to share more. I know this is 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's very short, but I'm open to share more experience and to help if I, of course, if I can.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kheireddine. So before moving on to the next speaker, I just want to have a quick reminder that some of the attendees are having trouble to listen. So if you have a microphone, just put it closer to you where you can speak better. So for the next speaker, I would invite Professor Eric Olmedo. So Professor Eric Olmedo will introduce us the model of triangular collaborations. Dr. Olmedo, you may start with your presentations.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. All right, good morning, everyone. So my name is Eric Olmedo. I work at the National University of Malaysia, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. And I'm very happy to be able to share with you today a model of cooperation that we simply call triangular cooperation between France, of course, and Southeast Asia, and specifically two countries in Southeast Asia, as you can see on this map, hopefully. There are two little flags here. One is in Vietnam, one is in Malaysia, and I will explain in a short while how this triangular cooperation works. Okay, first about the Malaysian anchor. I've just said, so my workplace is the National University of Malaysia, and more specifically in a research institute, which is called Institute of Ethnic Studies. KITA is the acronym. It's basically an institute based in that focuses in anthropology, political science, and social science. And I'm a principal research fellow within this institute. So our French anchor, our partner, is the newly named Cergy Paris University, which maybe you have heard about before as University of Cergy-Pontoise. That's his former name. Cergy-Pontoise is the name of a city which is located northwest of Paris, as you can see on the map here. And it is a public university. So there are many things happening at CY Cergy Paris University, and the first thing we started with them was a collaboration, a simple student exchange collaboration with one of its institute, which is highlighted in yellow on this slide. You may be familiar with the brand Sciences Po. It's a very renowned and elite political science institute in France. There are 10 of them in the whole country. And the Sciences Po of Saint-Germain-en-Laye, which is under the umbrella of CY Cergy Paris University, is the latest brainchild of the network. And there are many other institutes, schools, and faculties. And the second one which approached us, you can see on the right hand side of the slide, is called CY Gastronomy. It's basically the Gastronomy Institute. So how did it all begin? It was back in 2014. The Gastronomy Institute and the University of Cergy-Pontoise at the time already had a cooperation on the American continent in Latin America. You can see the little flag here. They had a cooperation, and they still have, with a hotel school in Puebla near Mexico City in Mexico. And they were toying with the idea of having another collaboration, having another food in the Asian continent, but they didn't really know how to go about it. So they had this dream of expanding to Southeast Asia. And they contacted me basically, through the Hospitality Education Network. And why the choice of Vietnam? It was very simple. Is because I think it's there's a historical, I would say, there's history between France and Vietnam, and many of the faculty members of Cergy-Pontoise Gastronomy Institute were very, very attracted by the sophistication and the history of Vietnamese cuisine. Therefore, they wish to open a branch, kind of branch campus in Vietnam. And they targeted this university, which is called UTech. You can see the logo here. It is a private university located in Ho Chi Minh City. And This is the team of the Gastronomy Institute with its director, Monsieur Sébastien Le Tacon. So they had one problem before starting the collaboration, is that, as you can see, their team is small. So how can you expand to another country when you have small resources, especially in terms of human resources? So they had this idea of having a base camp in Southeast Asia that could help them to develop delocalized courses in Vietnam. And KITA, our institute, through personal networking, became this base camp in Southeast Asia. Then the second step was to ponder about what program should they delocalize in Vietnam. And if you know a little bit about the hospitality education scenery in Vietnam, is not as dense as in Malaysia. So they narrowed down on the choice of a Bachelor of Technology, BTech, in Hospitality and Tourism, which they have in Paris with 5 specializations. So they review all of them, and they decided that there might be a need in Vietnam to a more focused degree in F&B, food and beverage, and especially restaurant management and culinary arts. So the ambition was to make the best of both French and Vietnamese culinary system. So therefore, they choose to delocalize or franchise, if you prefer, the bachelor degree you can see on the screen now, licence professionnelle in French, which they rename in English, restaurant management and culinary arts. So how this, you may wonder how this cooperation works, this triangular cooperation. It's very simple. Basically, we have one franchisor, which is Cergy Paris University, which is a public university. We have one franchisee. I'm using purposely commercial terms, which is HUTEC. HUTEC stands for Ho Chi Minh City University of Technology in Vietnam. And we have a kind of middleman, which is middle party, which is us, KITA, the Institute of Ethnic Studies at the National University of Malaysia. So from France, Cergy Paris University, what do? First, of course, they initiate the legal framework of the cooperation, the contracts and so on. Then they will provide the essence of the cooperation, which is the curricula and the syllabi. Of course, they teach, so they fly down lecturers and professors for about 15 to 20% of the teaching hours. And of course, they will put in place a quality audit of the program. KITA in Malaysia, in the Malaysian base camp, we manage the operations, basically the administration, day-to-day running of affairs of the program in Vietnam. We also contribute to teaching, and we try to develop the cooperation to other aspects. Research is one of them, for example. And because we are very close, of course, then we take care of the problem solving, because it's just less than 2 hours flight, and we can intervene very fast. So what are the benefits of such a triangular cooperation? There are many, but just to summarize, on the French side, they feel secure because they have a base camp in Southeast Asia. There's cost savings for them, in terms of flight tickets, for example. And thanks to this Malaysian base camp, they have a greater reactivity. From the Malaysian partner point of view, it's interesting for us because we can leverage on this co-branding with both a French and Vietnamese university. We can combine our resources for more ambitious projects. And for us, it also acts as a base for expansion in the region of Southeast Asia. So what we have been trying to do since we opened in Vietnam on behalf of Cergy Paris University is to develop further beyond delocalized courses, beyond franchise degrees. So now we are doing research together, the three of us. We have 2 ongoing research projects focusing on wild edible plants. And we have started as well PhD co-supervision. So which means that we think that the cooperation is taking the right path because it's expanding, is not only a mere delocalization. Now we have shaped a whole educational and research ecosystem for the benefits of the 3 institutions and for the students as well, because now, thanks to this triangular network, we have student exchange between France, Malaysia, and Vietnam. We have internships, we have faculty member exchange, and so on. So I think this, I'm not sure about the transferability of this model, but for us, it works quite well, and I think it's maybe would be worth investigating by other institutions that would be interested. As you can see on top of the slide, Paris University Gastronomy Institute also expanded since 2014. Now there are 4 corporations: Paris, Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, and now they opened a branch as well in Mauritius Island, and they have kept the Mexican corporation. All right, so I try to make it short and sweet. Thank you very much for your attention. Merci, and I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Olmedo. So we have actually 1 question for you. And we're actually wondering, like, what are the models of financing these collaborations? Would you mind explaining a little bit on this?
Sure. I mean, it's quite straightforward. You know, again, if we are back to commercial terminology, the franchisor is the public university in France, which is CY Cergy Paris University. So they invoice franchising fees for their delocalized degrees in Vietnam, and our institute, our university, receives a small portion of administrative fees in order for us to handle the day-to-day administration of the program. So these are the financial mechanics.
All right, thank you. Pretty good. So thank you, Dr. Olmedo, for your presentations. So now we will move to our next presenter. Okay, so our third presenter is Dr. Nityanathan Ragavan. So Dr. Ragavan will explain to us the research co-production in place between Taylor University, Malaysia, and University of Toulouse-Lautrec, France. So Dr. Ragavan, I will pass the floor to you and you may present.
Thank you so much. Mostly, give me a just give me a minute. Which file? Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank Uraxis ASEAN, Dr. Suzanne, for the invitation, and as well as Dr. Angeline from the French Embassy in Malaysia for connecting me into this webinar series. I'm Nitya. I'm the Executive Dean of Faculty of Social Science and Leisure Management in Taylor's University. I've been working in a cooperation with University of Toulouse, formerly University of Toulouse Limiral, today is known as University of Toulouse Jean Jaurès, for the last 25 years. So some part of the history of this cooperation is directly with me, and the other part is the cooperation before me that some very important people who have started. So I just would like to set the context of this presentation. The focus is on research, so I will not touch on the teaching cooperation. Just give me a second. My screen is. The idea of research was conceptualized back in 2009 between the two institutions when both the institution, Taylor's University in Malaysia and University of Toulouse, Limiral at that time, came up with the idea of setting up Taylor's Toulouse University Center. And this cooperation under the banner of Taylor's Toulouse University Center, apart from strengthening the teaching cooperation of the dual awards of undergraduate degrees and exchange and mobility of students and researchers, what it actually sparked at that time was the idea of research, where it managed to valorize research between the two institutions very much jointly, and this allows for the formation of joint postgraduate programs that started after that, and as well as setting up of the chair of food studies, food culture and health. So there's a very prominent professor from France. Many of you may know him, Professor Jean-Pierre Poulin, in the area of food sociology. And what we have done is actually to set up a chair and have him sit in this chair as a professor to drive research collaboration between Taylor's University and University of Toulouse. And that's how it all started. So sorry. Very quickly, my outline is this: the partnership between Taylor's and Toulouse, which I've explained just now. The context of this presentation also centers around the Laboratory International Associate, the LIA, for food culture and health. There are two angles to this LIA. One is on the Asian Food Barometer, and the other one is on experimental platform. I will touch a little bit on the impact so that you get to feel the impact of this cooperation and some future plans that we have in mind. Like I said just now, this is a 33 years cooperation. Started as a technical cooperation back in 1987. 33 years is very long. In some cases, even marriage doesn't last for 33 years. Yeah, and this cooperation has actually evolved over years, and it has evolved and taken different shapes and different forms, different personalities, different group of people who have actually come in and go, different group of people who stay on and valorize the cooperation between the two. So you can see that in 1987 we started with the technical cooperation. In 1999, I think we are probably the one other than UITM, if I'm not mistaken, started to offer a bachelor's degree in this country. At that time, people thought it was crazy, but today I think it's proven that this is the right decision. In 2005, we started the masters. We started co-designing the master's program, and we formed a research team. 2009, we set up Taylor's Toulouse University Center to launch the research agenda between the two universities. And 2012, we set up the chair. We appointed Professor Poulin as the chair professor for this position. In 2014, we launched the Malaysian Food Barometer, which is very interesting project that we have done together. And in 2016, we received the LIA labeling and the recognition from the CNRS, the French National Research Center for Food Culture and Health. And in 2019, we start speaking about the expansion plan. And one of the things that we have started doing is to expand the role of the chair to also include, apart from food, but also include what you call center for, to expand it to form a center for Asian modernization studies, and to look at modernization as an agenda for this region. So that's where we have evolved. These are some examples of. It was a grand launch. It was a launch of the LIA at that time. It was launched by the Minister of Health at that time. It was also represented by the Deputy Scientific Director of the Institute of Social Science of CNRS. You can see most of them in the photo, and this is indeed a good recognition, very strong recognition of Taylor's Toulouse joint collaboration in research that we have received in 2016. You can see the hall is filled with people who are very interested in this topic and as well as in this field. Yeah. So basically, the LIA has two major components. One is the survey or the research that we wanted to do on Asian food barometers, and as well as the setting up of experimental platform to study and contextualize food habits. I'm happy to say that both this project are going on very well, and it has actually what you call developed research or accelerated research and cooperation between the two universities. Taylors have actually also contributed to the research in a very significant manner. We set up a flagship research program on health and obesity to support the LIA agenda. And this is a framework of how we actually work in different teams, different groups, and different programs under this big flagship research. Yeah, the Asian Food Barometer is a very ambitious project. Professor Pulan is heading it by expanding the Malaysian Food Barometer into Asia. Currently, we have 6 countries who are participating: China, Japan, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. The outcome is quite clear. We would like to have publication grants and as well as PhD or Masters by Research projects. This is a very quick slide. I'm very mindful of time. I'll try to make it very fast. This is a very quick slide on one of the important point of this cooperation is apart from working between the two universities, I think it was very important to take note or to take cognizance of partnerships. So here what we do is we build partnership with different groups of people, different groups of institutions in order to achieve two major points. One is we believe that by pooling resources, the notion of collective research will be able to amplify the scale of research that we are doing. I think that's very important for us to branch out in Asia. And secondly, it's also important to distinguish between the academic research and the customized research that we need to do as a way for us to actually reach out to different groups and different objectives. Yeah. These are some of the projects on partnership that I mentioned just now, where we work. Other than Taylor's and Toulouse, we work with different universities. So here is Washington, University of Washington with Semio Racfon. Yeah. Partnership with Semio Racfon actually help us to actually build some parts of the Asian Food Barometer. Yeah, this is the Indonesian Food Barometer where we work jointly or together between Taylor's Toulouse and University of Washington and also Semio Racfon. This is the surveys that's done around the region where I mentioned about the Asian Food Barometer, eating out or dining out in Asia. You can see the sample that's taken in different countries in China, Hong Kong, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, and France. You have to do some comparative studies as well. And the second part of LIA is actually to valorize the idea of the second generation of the experimental platform. basically the platform is a space where it will allow us to equip with high-tech gadgets, cameras, and whatnot, with fast processing algorithms or interpretation of big data. And this allows for us to actually research specifically on different areas, especially on the technology of facial recognition. Yeah. What is interesting about this project is it clearly shows the partnership between TELUS and Toulouse, which is very well cemented, because we have a mirror of both the experimental platform. One, a very comprehensive one, very well funded, which is hosted in ISTIA, the University of Toulouse Jean Jaurès. It's called the OWALI. And the other one is the Social Behavioral Lab, call it in English, in TELUS, which also uses facial recognition software. You can see in this photo where it's actually a facial recognition process that's happening, or a process of the research that was happening. So in terms of outcome, I will show you a slide on the summary of the outcome. But what was important was the dissemination of information through international seminars and research, the visibility that we create of a Malaysia-France partnership very strongly. You can see just some of the projects that we have done, or dissemination that we have done, but there are many of those. Of course, publication in high-impact journals and many other peer-reviewed journals as well. And also human capital or human talent by producing graduates at a higher level of masters and PhD. Yeah, this is one student. This is just some examples. This is another student who is the first student is from South Africa. Second one was from US. Then we had another student from France who actually came to Malaysia to study, and as part of the cooperation and the collaboration. And we have many more. There's just some examples. So this is the summary of the output. So in terms of the project of the chair and the LIA, up to now we have 13 grants. Yeah, as I said, TELUS have also pumped in about a very significant amount of $1 million ringgit into a flagship fund to fund this joint project. We had 3 grants, short-term grants, or the FRGS from MOHE. We had international industry grant. We have a pairing and matching grant. And thanks to the support from the French Embassy, recently we also received the Hibiscus grant on food socialization of children on Prader-Willi syndrome. Yeah. So total grant so far that we have worked together and achieved is close to about 5 million ringgit. Yeah, to valorize research. The second one is on the experimental laboratories. As I've said, both universities have actually put in some fund to support the experimental laboratories in the mirror of both. In case you're asking why you need 2, I think the context is very important. The research in Toulouse, and also the phenomena that's happening in Asia. I guess it's also important to be able to replicate this in this part of the world. Of course, collaborative publications. Yeah, 65 articles in peer-reviewed journal, 11 books, 85 book chapters, and 15 articles in popular science or magazines and all that. Number of international workshops or seminars organized by TTUC partnership. There are 32 scientific events all around the world. PhD completion so far, joint supervision, there are 5. 2 is in progress. 5 has been completed. And short missions of PhD students from Toulouse to TELUS, and from TELUS to Toulouse, we have 12 so far who have completed under the umbrella of TTUC. We also have many postgraduate students who have graduated under the dual award program of TELUS through the Masters in Hospitality Management, and as well as the Masters in Food Studies since 2009. And we have also 10 students who have done attachments, both sides, TELUS and Toulouse, in terms of attaching themselves to research teams in different groups of research since 2012. The future plan is my probably the penultimate slide. The future plan, as I've said, we want to expand the cooperation even bigger. We are now in the process of setting up a center for Asian modernization studies to actually have the collaboration expanded between the two into a more social science dimension as well. And this we hope will be able to actually take the partnership to another level. Yeah, and I would like to thanks everyone for listening. And this is just a picture that I like to display here. And I also like the word "a meal is a social event." Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ragavan. I have actually a very interesting questions that I would like to ask you. Like the collaboration that you have is very massive and very impressive. So I would like to ask, like, how do you manage such large collaboration, specifically in this current COVID situations? What advice would you give to maintain a healthy collaboration, or how to initiate an international collaboration in under such circumstances?
I think it's a very interesting question. I didn't think of it because I feel I was never impacted. The partnership between the two was never impacted. Just to let you know, Professor Pulan is actually now in Taylor's. He's been spending about a month and a half over here to still work on the research project, although there's quarantine and all that. I think the determination is there. I've also been invited to go to France when the borders are open to actually work further. There is this digital platform that everybody is talking about, where we actually meet on Skype and all that. There are students who are in a PhD, joint PhD, and as well as Master's Dual Award that are here already, who are working with us. And then many parts of, there are also students in the many different parts of the what you call the locations of Asian Food Barometer. That's also here. So to answer your question, we don't see any impact. In fact, many of the lectures are also still going on between Taylor's and Toulouse through either Teams or Zoom platform. So I guess because the relationship is so long, such events, while it does limit physical presence and all that, but I think it doesn't stop you from working together. That would be my very quick answer to this.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ravagan, for the very good and in-depth answer. So moving on to our last speaker, Dr. Mohamed Kheireddine. Dr. Mohamed Kheireddine will introduce us to the PhD Hibiscus Grant. So Dr. Kheireddine, so I will pass the floor to you.
Okay. So
yes.
Okay, I'm not sure whether you can see my screen now.
Yes, we are on your screen now.
Okay. All right. So a very good morning. Bonjour à tous. My name is Mohamed Kheireddine. I am currently the coordinator for University Science Malaysia University de Lorraine Center. And today I'm going to give my presentation on a smart partnership between Malaysia and France universities, opportunities for PhD Hibiscus grant. So before I move further, let me share with you our statistics. This is actually obtained from our legal office in USM, the international collaboration between countries. And you can see that France is located number 8, which means it is basically top 10 collaboration between USM with other foreign university. And our partner is basically University de Lorraine. This university located in Nancy. It is located in the north east of France, and it is basically formed in 2012 by the merger of a former 4 universities, and it has around more than 60,000 students and quite a numbers of international students. And our collaboration with University de Leuven was started a long time ago in 1999. So we have celebrated our 20 years of collaboration last year. And basically the collaboration started from School of Chemical Sciences, USM, from the first co-tutel candidate, which is Professor Afida Abdul Rahim. And after that, this collaboration was flourished, and we have eventually expand our area of expertise, not only in chemistry, but also in other areas, like, for example, materials engineering, chemicals engineering, biology, health and medicals. And in fact, so far we have graduated 8 PhD candidates under the co-tutor program, 4 in chemistry, 3 in engineering, 1 in biology, and we have 2 candidates which is now ongoing their studies. So most of these PhD candidates, majority of them serve back to the university, including me. And to contribute this, I think, long time collaboration, after the first coordinator, Professor Afida, retired, I'm taking over, and I have a very huge responsibility to ensure that the existing collaboration lasts longer, and at the same time expanding our area of expertise, not only in science and engineering, but also in other fields related with arts and social science. So this collaboration have resulted a very good outcome. We have a colloquium which conducted every 2 years between these 2 universities. We do also conducted workshop actively between the 2 universities. Most of the time, the experts from University de Leuven were invited, and in fact, we also have a few of our lecturers from USM who was also invited to give a workshop in University de Leuven. We do also have a few of our staff who went to University de Leuven for sabbatical leave, and we do also have a master's or PhD supervision, a joint supervision. And in fact, we also received a master's student, MRMD, for a short period of time of stage in USM. And other than that, the other activities also included on research, which at the moment we have published more than 80 joint publications together with this university. And because of we have a very long-lasting collaboration, our previous Vice Chancellor, Professor Dato' Asma Ismail, have suggested that the collaboration between University de Leuven and University of Science Malaysia have to be taken into the next level. So what she suggested is to establish a joint center between these 2 universities. And this center have been officiated last year in August, presented during the officiation, of course, for the 2 president of the university, Vice Chancellor of University of Science Malaysia, Professor Asma, the President of University de Leuven, Professor Pierre Muzenhat, and including the other deputies, as well as the representative from French Embassy. So the function of this University Science Malaysia and University Leuven Center is as a hub for networking. We function as a center to engage people, a new researcher who wanted to have a new collaboration with our counterpart in UL. So we try to identify and assist them in order to start this new collaboration. And at the same time, maintaining the existing collaboration by monitoring the ongoing projects, and also trying to engage them with some information regarding on PhD opportunities and etc. And maintaining a collaboration is not easy if you didn't do any active activity. So part of the activities, including grant application. So what I'm going to talk about here is basically on PHC Hibiscus grant, which have been announced in 2018. At that time, there's a first French-Malaysian convention conducted in Pullman Hotel. I was there, and then at that time, they have suggested that the collaboration will take into a further step where the establishment of PHC grant for Malaysia will be started in 2019. So around the world, you can see that PHC grant is not something new. In every country, they have different names for PHC. For Thailand, they have PHC Siam. For Malaysia, of course, we are using hibiscus name. And the first call for proposal was in early 2019. So, as I said, the PHC grant is aimed to partner partnering the two research together between the Malaysian colleague and also the French colleague. So the amount allocated by the both ministries should be used actively for research, and from there the outcome is also should be a very good outcome. So from the first cycle, this is actually a statistic from our own application. USM have sent basically around 19 application, and from all 19 application from USM, 4 have been granted from a total of 8 projects. So we are dominating the granted project in 2019, and in fact in this year we also have 2 project granted from a total of 10 projects. So the projects that have been granted are basically in different areas. So the first cycle, we have 4 lecturers, 4 researchers who've been very active with a collaboration with France. And part of that is Professor Dato' Senior Dr. Abdul Rahman Muhammad. He is actually a very renowned researcher in the field of graphene. We do also have Dr. Nurul Azmi, who is also active in collaboration between USM and École Polytechnique, Pioneer University in France. And we do also have another lecturers, Dr. Sumia and also Professor Zainuria. And if you look on the title or the area that they are focusing, basically they are working on a different area. So what does it mean is that our collaboration is diverse. We don't really specify on one area. We basically try to see the opportunities and try to engage our researchers together. For this year, we have Dr. Tuti Katrina working on high temperature corrosion, and Dr. Fadratul who is also working on pedestrian movement simulation. So, as I said, the objective of PHC Hibiscus is to strengthen the scientific exchange between Malaysia and France, and also to support existing collaboration and encourage new collaboration between France and Malaysia. And in fact, it also to foster the development of innovative and high-level joint research projects, fostering the promotion and enhancement of joint research activity, and lastly, to develop synergies between the two countries. So the area of priority normally been listed, and there's a team for each proposal, and the evaluation of the project normally via submission. I mean, a proposal must be submitted simultaneously by the two countries. This is very much essential. When you send the PhD grant, it must be from a similar project, a similar title, sent by a Malaysian researcher and also by the French researcher. So the eligibility of Malaysian application or appliance, of course, the principal investigator must submit one application as a principal investigator, okay? And then a research organization must be a public and private universities. Third, the principal investigator must have been awarded a doctorate at the time of application, applicants must be a Malaysian citizen and hold a permanent or a fixed term contract with an eligible university. And fifth, the contact between Malaysian PI and French PI prior to the application is essential. As I said, this is actually to make sure that the content of the proposal between the one that's been sent from Malaysia and the one being sent to France is exactly the same. So the application for Malaysian colleagues, it follows through a migrant system. This is basically a well-known system for those who are applying FRGS, LRGS, TRGS, etc. Meanwhile, for the French colleague, they will apply this through Campus France website. So from the Campus France website, the content or the requirement for migrants and Campus France is slightly different, but of course the title and overall of the project must be similar. And for the content of proposal, of course, when you wanted to start any PhD grant, you must first find a collaborator and start the discussion to come into a conclusion what types of research that you want to do, and then after that to update the personal details, of course, to ensure that you have a very recent details in your migrant, and of course to have a member not only between one person to another person, but also if you have a team, then it will be nice to see that the project can be covered in most angles. And the content of the proposal as follows. I guess it's quite familiar with us as a researcher. And the budget allocated by Malaysia was from or is from Malaysian government, from Malaysia Ministry of Higher Education. The overall budget is around 66,000 for 2 years. But of course, there's no allocation for vote 11 for salary. This is more for traveling, mobility, and etc. And in fact, for vote 21 for mobility cannot be more than 20%. So as I said, the submission of a PhD grant must be submitted the same proposal from both parties, and we have to ask the French collaborator to update the system in the migrant, because in the migrant, if you want to include the associate researchers, you need from France especially, you have to create a so-called a profile for them. So the profile need to be updated so that it is quite recent, and at least you should have a French scientist in the application form. I mean, because it is a partnering grant and we do need a French collaborator here. So prepare a one-page CV for Campus France. This is actually part of their requirement, very simple, with a list of publication, number of citation, H index, and also a major publication. And for the candidate, also there's a 2-page of CV that need to be prepared. So it means that for this project, the researcher have identified the possible student to work on this project, and of course the duration, the milestones when the researcher will travel to France, and when the researcher from France to travel in Malaysia must be informed in detail. And of course the schedule of evaluation as follows. Normally the first call will be last for 2 months, and then after that it will goes into a change of nomination, evaluation for both countries, and then after that it will come into a conclusion of results and announcement within 1 week. So to know more details about PhD Hibiscus grant, we do have our representative in Embassy of France in Kuala Lumpur, Dr. Angeline. I'm sure that Dr. Angeline will be pleased if you have any further inquiries or questions regarding on PhD. And in fact, in Ministry of Higher Education, we have a few officers who's working on this partnering or partnership grant, which I've shown in the content. So with that, Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup et merci pour votre attention. Merci.
Thank you, Dr. Hazwan. So we have maybe a few questions for you, maybe a couple of questions. So one of them is, what would be, obviously you have a lot of applications throughout your launch of the project. So you usually you also receive a lot of applications and some of them got rejected. So I would like to know is that what are the elements that applications should pay attention more to, and also what is the best practice to ensure a successful grant application?
Okay, basically, I guess it's quite common for any collaboration. Before we start any collaboration, the researcher must engage first between another. So this is quite essential because we don't want to have, a proposal that that is not clear with one part and another part. So the discussion and of course, if it is possible for the two researchers to at least have a preliminary data, not really a preliminary data, but at least some even a start result or something like that to convince the evaluator that this project can be successful or whatnot. So I believe that in any application for PhD, the possibilities whether the project is have a similar content and at the same time whether it is doable or not, it is quite important to be finalized or concluded first.
Okay, thank you very much. So another question is, the PhD grant is available for all Malaysian university in Malaysia? Is it available to all Malaysian university?
Yes. I believe Dr. Angeline is also part of the panelists. So she can also interject me if there's any information. But of course, what I have said earlier, the PSA Hibiscus is dedicated for a Malaysian collaboration between Malaysian University with France University. But of course, if there is any university like University of Nottingham, Malaysian branch, for example, or University of Southampton, Malaysian branch, probably if they can apply as well, because I guess it is also possible, right, Angeline?
Yes, indeed. The call is open to any Malaysian universities.
Yeah.
Public, private, any type of organization.
All right. Thank you, Angeline, as well for joining into this for answering the questions. So that will be the wrap up for today's sessions. So also a reminder, tomorrow Angeline will also be joining another session as well, also research in France. So here, thank you all for joining this session. Thank you all, Professor Kheireddine, Dr. Eric Olmedo, Dr. Ragavan, and also Dr. Hazwan. Thank you all for joining and also giving this very insightful and inspiring talk for everyone else here. So without further ado, I will pass the floor back to Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Mosley, for moderating the session, and thank you again to all the panelists for taking time out. I know you're all busy with research and obviously international collaboration. Just as a little bit of marketing for tomorrow's event, we'll have another session on French research collaboration opportunities, and I have been keeping an eye on the questions. I know there are lots of people interested in finding out about funding opportunities to do a PhD in France. There's always our colleagues from the social sciences and the humanities that are worried that there are no opportunities in this particular academic discipline. And I think Angeline and the other panelists tomorrow, including our colleague from CNRS, I'm sure they will be able to share some details on the funding opportunities that are available in France for research collaboration and mobility. So join us tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. If you haven't signed up yet, please go to the Uraxis ASEAN website and do so. And again, we will be sharing the slides of today's presenters. You've seen they're all very much looking forward to supporting you. You will find their contact details on the slides. And whenever you have any questions, I'm sure they will be more than happy to assist you. We will also, of course, share the recording with all of you so you can look at it again and take action to turn your ideas for collaboration into reality. So with this, also for me, thank you so much. Everybody have a great day, and we will see you all soon.
Okay,
Thank you so
very
much, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.